I don't like Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Yes, I know. We are starting off controversial. I mean, what is there to dislike about Redemptors? They are big, have a lot of guns, and deliver justice to the heretics. Well, for me, it's the Strength 9, the D6 plus 1 shot cannons, which are very unreliable damage dealers, as well as the fact that their hazardous downside means your model, which is built around durability, is now damaging itself, so it dies faster. However, the data slate finally dropped the points on those boys, and I decided to give them a run. We're taking Innes Wilson's list to an RTT in the beautiful Tuttlingen Outer Rim. The list was designed to work on UKTC terrain with open firing lanes but a huge center ruin to hide melee units in. Layout 1 on Games Workshop is kind of close to that, so it's the perfect way to apply it. This is a Stormlands list, similar to what I've shown off in the past. It features our dream team of Primarch Robute Gilliman and his son Marnius Calgar attached to some company heroes. Our scoring package consists of a squad of intercessors, a squad of incursors, and the combi lieutenant who carries the fainting withdrawal enhancement. The aforementioned 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts are supported by 2 Stormspeeder Hammer Strikes and a Storm Raven gunship for a clean 2000 point army. The idea behind the list is to use our variety of damage buffs to transport a Redemptor with our Storm Raven across the table into the perfect firing spot, while our melee specialists provide backup. But how did it go? Round 1. Our first game is Linchpin on Games Workshop Layout 8. Wait, Layout 8? Well, it turns out, after running the same Layout 1 setup for over 6 months in a row, the layouts were changed this time around. Always read your rules packs, everyone. We are matched against the Genestealer cults and pretty much decimated them with little resistance. I went first and basically full sent my army, while screening the backline with intercessors and the lieutenant. The Raven and Redemptor 1 led the Alpha Strike against a truck, while Redemptor 2 and 3 held the angle across the central firing lane. The GSC focused the Storm Raven down across the 2 next turns, and although it exploded and did 17 models to my army, the game was effectively over when Gilliman and a Redemptor captured the enemy home objective. A noticeable play happened on turn 5. My opponent lined up a Deep Strike charge to take a marker back on the last turn with a regrown number of Acolyte hybrids from Calgar. I was handed 11 Handflamer saves and decided to go for a play here. I purposely took my 4-up invulnerable save over the 2-up armor save, because if I lose my unit to the shooting, my opponent wouldn't be able to charge. Unfortunately, I somehow managed to pass all of my 4-up saves or my 4-up invulns, which ended up costing me those points because my opponent did complete the charge. But we walk out of round 1 with an Ultramarine victory, 100-28. Round 2. Next, we are fighting Guard on the same layout but Purge the Foe, piloted by a Swiss national player. The list is Hammer of the Emperor with 2 Rogaldorns, 3 Leman Russ, 2 Hellhounds, and some infantry and transports. I go second and am honestly pretty happy about it. The list, however, seems very well equipped to open cans though, with the outrageous amount of shooting. I have to expose my Redemptors to kill a Scout Sentinel in the center, which did area denial, to get a kill scored, which got them shot by the enemy and I lose one of them. I also lose Calgar's entire unit to some horrendously bad saves. But my opponent had to push effectively their entire army into the center, and I decide to strike. The Raven flies up, the Redemptors charge in, Gilliman takes the helm. I ingress a speeder to help with cover, and I completely whiff. The Leman Russ Vanquisher, my first oath, survives all of my shooting at 1 wound and does not die to a tank shock, meaning my oath does not flip over to the Rogaldorn, who survives Gilliman's charge. The only model I end up killing was a Tech Priest, handing my opponent the Hold More and the Kill More. I am now staring down the entire Guard army shooting phase and lose the Storm Raven, another Redemptor, and Gilliman's first life. This is looking really bad, and my next turn has to clear the center to even give me a possible way back into the game, albeit a very small one. I off the Dorn and another tank, hoping the 1 wound Leman Russ will die to some fire. It does not. I once again leave the Leman Russ on 1 wound. I try to go for a charge plus tank shock off of a Redemptor into a 3 wound transport to consolidate into the second Dorn while Gilliman kills the first. I again roll 0 mortal wounds on the tank shock and do not make that play. From this spot the game was over, and even my opponent was baffled by how bad these 2 turns went, despite playing pretty safe and picking the correct targets for all my shots. This was one of the very few exceptions in a year in which the dice did lose me the game. In terms of what I could have done better, I could have pushed my intercessors up to screen the reserves from the flank to protect Calgar from the shooting coming off that flank. Ultramarines lose 31 to 100. Round 3. For the last round, I get paired up into a 2-0 player, also an Ultramarines. He's running a triple Repulsor Executioner list with a lot of jump pack infantry, Marneus Calgar heroes, and a Blade Guard and Judicio unit. The anti-tank does once again look scary, but there is no Gilliman in my opponent's list. We set up layout 6 and play take and hold. I go first and move my units into position. I decide to push Calgar and the Raven up towards my opponent's expansion objective to punish my opponent putting the Repulsor with the Blade Guard inside into reserve. His other Repulsors poke out and destroy my Raven, but I now have a window. I oaf the Repulsors, bring the 2 speeders in, line up my shots, only to whiff again and leave the Repulsor I oafed alive at 2 wounds, despite not giving it an armor save with all my cover ignoring Melter and Plasma. Wounding on 4s is fun. Thankfully, Calgar saves our bacon and flattens the other Repulsor without oath just by himself. I set up a move block on my opponent's Calgar, which he promptly circumvents by rolling a 6 to advance and charges me anyway. The second Repulsor and all the Venvets come in and oath Calgar?
Huh?
Yeah, I didn't expect that, and I end up losing my Marneus Calgar to a combination of most Repulsor shooting and the enemy Calgar's charge, but despite the Vanvets and the JPI making all 3 of their 9-inch charges into my speeders, the Redemptors are left alive without a single scratch and I score a fat 15 on primary. From that spot, I kill the Repulsors, blast the disembarking Blade Guard, and use Gilliman and some excess Melter shots to clean up Calgar's squad myself. With no Repulsors and no Calgar, I effectively win the game despite losing my home objective at some point just by holding 3 center markers. Funny enough, my opponent manages to connect another 9-inch and an 11-inch charge into the center objective to score a bottom of 10 primary, in addition to an extra 4 on Storm Hostile objective. However, this time it really didn't matter how well my opponent rolled and how bad I rolled. The superior strategy paid off and I finish round 3 with a win. Ultramarines victory 82 to 55. What did we learn? I have found a deep respect for everyone who is trying to play with Redemptor Dreadnoughts. While I only lost a total of 4 Dreadnoughts across all 15 rounds of Warhammer this day, I cannot live with the stress of playing an all Strength 9 army. Oath of Moment is a good rule, don't get me wrong, but hoping to just roll 4s to wound is not a stress I need in my life. But what do you think? Did this tournament report convince you to buy some Redemptor Dreadnoughts? Tell me about it in the comments or visit the Ultramarines Discord. You can tag me anytime to ask whatever you like in the appropriate channels. Courage and honor, we march for McCraig.